everybody, and welcome to this little quick time lapse. This probably took me about an hour and 15 minutes in real time, but here we've squashed it down into 5 minutes. So we've got these beautiful colorful radishes. That's what drew me to these in the first place. You've got that beautiful vibrant pinky red with the green. It's just a lovely pop of color on your wall. So I set this up myself. You can see in the reference photograph, it's not great. I just put in, a black tablecloth. Well, it's not a tablecloth, it's a black sheet I use for my markets and things. Put that in the back and just put a little white doily, which I didn't use in the finished piece, which you'll see in a bit. You can see I just used like kind of concrete. If you look at the a lot of the Spanish old masters, I call them, in the painting in the 17th century, often still lifes were done on concrete slabs. So that was my inspiration for this rather than putting in the doily. So I'm working on the pastel matte paper here, and the size is 17 centimeters squared. You see I've gone in with quite a few pastels, kind of like dull browny, reddy browns, greeny browns for the background. And then I brought a little bit of a greeny grey to suggest the concrete. Then the leaves, beautiful greens, using a mixture of unison as well as sennelier. And I'm also using a mixture of more blue greens as well as yellow greens. So in the shadow parts, getting more of the blue greens in there. The darkest green you can see is a trusty old sennelier 179, black green is what it's called. And then just building that up. So I like to use blue base greens as well as yellow base greens, because I just find when you use that combination in foliage, it just makes it a little bit more alive, a little bit more realistic, using greens from different, I was going to say family members. What am I trying to say? Different parts of the color wheel. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can see I'm tweaking a little bit and adding those tiny details with my pastel pencils, and you're still able to see the pastel pencil marks, even though I've got quite a bit of soft pastel on there. But I do work in very light layers, so that when it comes to those finishing touches, I am still able to get a pop of color, whether it be a highlight or whether it be some details from a pastel pencil. So just mapping in the shapes there again with my pastel sticks, using mostly sennelier for these red radishes, as well as some pink. It's also sennelier. I'm using the pink tones, like baby pinks, for the highlights. So I'm not using white just yet. I'll leave the white for the brightest of highlights, but using lighter tones. So you can see here, using my pastel pencils, mostly these are Caran d'Ache, and putting in these little, you can see the details because I'm painting so small. This is only 17 centimeters squared. It would be quite a challenge to try and get those thin lines with a pastel stick. It is totally doable, but it's much easier with the pastel pencil. When you paint bigger, then yes, you can get those details, because obviously everything's on a bigger scale. But when it's as small as this, those pastel pencils really are such a bonus, really. Just adding in a bit, darkening down my shadows. This is one of my favorite shadow colors to use. It's Grey 13 from Unison. It's like a blacky brown sort of color. I absolutely love that color. I also use Grey 34 from Unison, but that's got more of a green tone in it, and I didn't use it in this time. Just adding my little details, softening everything out. I really like a soft focus. You'll see all my paintings are very soft looking, and that's one of the characteristics I love about pastel. But that comes from using your fingers to manipulate that pigment and press it into the paper. It creates that softness, which I personally love. Anyway, you can see this in real time over on my Patreon channel. I'll leave a link in the description below, but bye for now.